All right, welcome back. So let me run the program, then I will walk you through the additions, the modifications that I've made. So normally now, if you remember, when we run the program in the first place, at the beginning, this random guessing number game, which is just basic level at this moment, when we're trying to get it to an advanced level, to develop it to a proper game. So it said we should give a start number range, and I say 2 for example, and then it says set the end of the random range, let's say 20. Now in the last video, when we input a number outside the number range, because the computer only chooses a number either 2 from 2 up to 20, and it chooses including 20, that's where the computer randomly chooses numbers. Now there's no need, it should be able to make sure that my guesses are not out of this range, because it doesn't even make sense, because there's no way anyone can win guessing a number out of the number range knowing that the computer would never choose a number out of the range. So the idea of this video now is to make sure that whatever the user guesses is checked against the limits, which is 2 and 20, is checked against the limit to make sure that the user doesn't guess a number which is out of this range. And when that happens, the computer should output a message to the user to let them know that they cannot choose number out of the number range and that they should guess again. That's exactly what we're trying to do now. So if I say I chose 10, obviously it would work. It's low, but let's say I chose the minimum number range is the lower part of the number range is 2. Let's say I chose 1, which is out of the number range. I expect to have a message telling me that I am out of the number range. Okay, yes, so we get out of range error. Your number cannot be less than 2. All right, so let's guess 21. Out of range error, your number cannot be greater than 20. Okay, and then let's say I guess 20 itself. Sorry, 20 not 30. I guess 20 itself. Let's say my 20 is high. Let's say I guess 2, which is the limit. So the two limits are inclusive. 11. Oh, okay, 12. Okay, so what did I type there? Okay, I typed 15. So I type 15. It says, oh yeah, 15 is the number, so you win. Okay, so that's basically what happened. So let's go through the code now and see where we put in the checks. So this is the part of the code that we had before. So now we're not checking to make sure the start norm is less. The start norm is the guess number is not less than the start norm. So when we put the start range, that's the minimum limit, and we put the end norm, that's the upper end of the range, lower end of the range, and the upper end of the range. So we have to make sure that anything outside this lower end, between the lower end and the upper end, should be invalid. Okay, that's why we're saying if the guess number is less than the start number, then it should print out this. This is the check we just put in. Else, if the guess number is greater than the end norm, that's the upper range, it should print out this message. Okay, and you see, if you understand that we are including our end norm and our start norm in our string formatting, so that whatever we put in as start norm, we don't want to hard code this number here, because this number should depend on whatever the user set out as the start number and whatever the user set out as the end number. That's why we have to invoke the variable here. So when we put this string formatting, so we have our f here. Remember, in the start of a video, if you miss the program, then you go to my other videos that talks about these formatting styles in Python. So when we put this f here, and then within the curly brackets, we can then input our variable. In that case, now this word start num would not be printed out. Instead, the program will go and fetch the value of this variable and print the variable here. So that's basically what this program is doing now. So these are the checks that we just put in to make sure the system now checks. Now if the start num is not less if the guess number is not less than the start num, and the guess number is not greater than the start num, which means whatever the user guesses is within the range, then it falls down. It will skip this, the program will skip this, then it will check, it will fall in this else block. Then it starts to check what we saw before. If the guess number is greater than the random number chosen by the computer, then it will say high. It will say if this is the case, it prints out high. If this is the case here, if not this case, it comes to this level, then it prints out low, and so on. And then it keeps asking the user to input. It keeps going around and around, keeps asking the user to input to guess another number until the user has to guess the right number. When this, while this is not true, while the guess number is not equal to the random number, this block of code will keep running. This block of code will keep running until the guess number becomes the random number. And when that happens, this equation is no longer true, because it is true now, because when the guess number is not equal to random number, this statement is true. Okay, because this is a logic operator, not equal to is the logic operator. So when it checks the number is not equal to the random number, okay, it says it is true. It's not equal to the random number, so it keeps running. And when the guess number becomes equal to the random number, this statement becomes false. Then it breaks out of the while loop. That's the end of the while loop. Remember, in the other videos I told you, when you write a while loop, you must put a breakpoint where the while loop should break. If not, it becomes an infinite loop. So now in the next video, I want to run this and show you what happens. What if let's run this. Now it's asking us to guess a number. I guess a number. Oh yeah, start range and the end range is 10. Okay, what if oh, let's just start again. Let me show you what I mean. Okay, that's the start range. What if instead of a number I type a letter J? It breaks. Your program breaks. Now let's run it again and so forth. What if I put start range to end range? I put it I type something else. It breaks. Your program breaks, and so forth and so on. Run again. I put start range 1, end range 10, 15 for example. Then I say guess a number between 1 and 15, and I say instead of that I forgot I didn't put the number, and I hit enter. It breaks. So this is bad programming. We should be able to make sure that whatever the user inputs, guesses, we should be checking that to make sure what the user guess is an integer. That will make sure that if it is not an integer, the program shouldn't break. We should output to the user, letting the user know that no, you have to input an integer. You should not input something else which is not an integer, which is not a number. Okay, so that's what we're going to be saying in our next video.